We are live now, Chair.
Right. Thank you very much, Katie. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Councillor Harbhajan Kaur Deer, and I am the new chair of the committee. Before I get to the agenda, I want to place on record our thanks to Councillor Tariq Mahmood for his work as the chair of the committee for a number of years. He is with us today, and I think I'll invite him to say a few words. Tariq, Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Councillor Deer. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. That's only I would like to say thank you for each and every member of the SACRE and all the faith group, community group, which have been a pleasure to work with them for last 3 years. And it was a great time, and they were very cooperative. And just last year, that was a very interesting time when we were working with the revision of the agreed syllabus for 2025. It was a very difficult time when I was trying to bringing all the community faith and all the members on one point, and finally we did it. And I wish you all the best, Councillor Deer, and I promise you all the members of SACRE are very cooperative. I am sure you will be an excellent chair of SACRE. The one more thing I would like to say, thank you for everyone, but a special thanks to Elizabeth Day, Dr. Day, which has been serving as the head teacher. It was a huge contribution, and I'm very thankful for Elizabeth. I'm very thankful for, and probably it will be her last meeting, and I would be thank you for Marian for her very contribution as well. So probably that will be her last meeting as well. So thank you, Chair, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mahmood. Thank you very much for your kind words to the committee. I'm sure the committee members are quite cooperative with all of us. I think we work together very well. Thank you very much, Councillor Mahmood. Thank you. As a new chair, I look forward to working with you. Let's get on to the agenda items. I will invite now Katie if we have received any apologies for absence.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, we've received an apology from Councillor Byrne. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome two new members, to Ursula Patel, Mrs. Sundar Cholia, Miss Oriel Hale, Mrs. Sue Larson, Miss Susie Marson. Teachers Association, Mr. Stephen Sims. From, as it's well known as a Group D, we are new members. Myself, Councillor Harbhajan Kaur Deer as chair, Councillor Abdullah Glade, Councillor Sitara Anjum. So now, thank you, long-serving members who are at their last meeting. They stated that they were leaving. They served this committee for a long time as Mrs. Marian McNeil. She has served for 13 years. It's a long time. And and Elizabeth Day, Teachers Association. Liz was a primary head teacher, retired 3 years ago, and has been a secretary for many years. Thank you very much, both of you. It's sad for you to go, but thank you very much for serving this committee for so long. Thank you. Let's start with the agenda item 2, urgent matters. I haven't received any other matters. Declaration of interest. Members, is there any declaration of interest? No.
No.
I would take this as no. Matters to be considered in private? No. Minutes of the last meeting. Is there any concerning matters from the minutes? So are they accurate?
Agreed, Chair, agreed.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Members agreed? Thank you. Thank you. Number 6, determination renew. Now I would like to invite Leslie Pryor to lead on this agenda item.
Thank you, Chair. And for those of you who haven't met me before, then I'm the advisor supporting the work of the SACRE. All schools in this country under state funding are required to offer a daily act of what is called collective worship. And the law requires that those daily acts of collective worship should be wholly or mainly of a broadly Christian character. Where it is felt that such provision is not appropriate for the population of the school, then the school may apply to this body, the SACRE, for something called a determination. A determination does not lift the requirement for the school to provide a daily act of collective worship, but it does, if it is granted, lift the requirement for those acts of worship to be wholly or mainly of a broadly Christian character. So in an authority such as Ealing, where the population of schools is so wonderfully diverse, quite a number of them do seek for this exemption to apply to them. If a determination is granted, it normally lasts for a period of 5 years, at which point, if the school wishes to continue with the arrangement, it must seek a renewal of the determination. So it's my understanding that the 3 schools submitting this evening are all schools that have had a determination previously, and therefore they're applying for a further 5-year period. All the schools have submitted documentation showing the data of the religious affiliation profile of the school population. Schools also need to have sought and obtained the approval of the full governing body before taking this step, and should have consulted parents. This SACRE provides extensive guidance materials and support, which we hope the schools have found very useful in preparing the application. And I'm not sure if we have representatives from all 3 schools. I can see on my screen from Stanhope.
Yes, we do, Leslie. It's Laurie is from Clifton.
Oh, Laurie is
our
from
member.
Clifton. So what we usually do is we invite each school to just speak briefly about the application, but it is assumed that members will have had an opportunity to read the papers in advance. And then it will be time to move to a vote. Now that's slightly more difficult to manage than usual on Zoom, because it is not 1 vote per member of the SACRE, but the SACRE is divided into 4 groups, and it is 1 vote per group. So I hope everyone who is a member and who's present tonight can remember which group is their group. So group A is for people who are here representing faith and belief communities apart from anyone representing the Church of England. That is because the Church of England has a separate group, Group B. Group C is for teacher representatives, and Group D is for representatives of the local council. So when we've heard from the 3 schools and questions have been asked and so on, then I think the usual practice is for those school representatives to depart the meeting and then for the vote to be taking place after that. And then the schools will subsequently be notified of the SACRE's decision. And if their application is successful, then the determination applies for a further 5 years, not to the precise date of the 8th of June 2026, but to whenever the SACRE meets in the summer term of 2026. So the schools here, you might like to make a note of that for your diaries for 2026. You'll need to be thinking about this whole process again, perhaps. So I hope I've explained that sufficiently clearly. Does anyone have any questions about what I've just said? So shall we then, with the chair's permission, Angela, invite the first school to speak briefly to the application?
Yeah, that's Clifton
Please
Primary
do,
School.
Leslie.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, Liz. So I'm Laurie Greenglass. I'm one of the co-head teachers from Clifton Primary School, and we submitted our renewal for our determination of application, and I think last week, or no, the week just before half term, we had our meeting. So it was myself and Samantha Massey, our RE lead. We put documents, collated everything, put the documents together and sent it all to Liz. And then, but just before half term, we had a virtual meeting with Liz and went through everything, and it was a really great meeting. What I'm not entirely sure what else I meant to say, but if you tell me what I meant to talk about, I will talk about it.
Leslie,
Yeah. I would just at this point invite any questions from
Sorry,
members.
somebody has a lot of background noise and we can't hear you, Leslie.
I'm sorry.
Can anybody?
could I ask all members, participants to mute your phones, please?
Thank you, Chair.
And, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
great disturbance. Yes.
So I don't know if any SACRE members have questions about the application or compliments they might like to pay to the school for the work that's going on in this regard there. Any suggestions for improvements? And Liz, you were the SACRE member that visited the school, so I don't know if you would like to add any comments.
I was very impressed with the ethos of the school. There is a culture of caring which has come about through relatively recent relook at the values of the school with the school community. So it was a real joy to listen to Laurie and Samantha and hear. So it's a very inclusive school and very practical outworking of their caring ethos in school, in the community, and internationally as well. So yeah, I really feel they have created incredible atmosphere and practical ways of encouraging children to develop spirituality. And I would say that's the context for the very, very good acts of worship, of which there's variety. The joint heads have themes. They're followed through in classes. So I felt you get consistency with the teachers, and there's a very specific theme that children can reflect on. But there's great variety. I sense great life coming out of what they do. I watched some of the assemblies that are visible on their links from their newsletters, and I would encourage SACRE members just to have a look, because again they vary, but it's always children and seeing children interacting with adults, with the teachers and with each other that really bring these things to life. So I do feel that Clifton, led by Laurie and the co-head. Laurie, who's your co-head?
Laura.
Laura, sorry.
Right.
I feel, you know, that there are real teamwork in the school, but they are to be congratulated. And I'm encouraging them to work with you in Ealing to maybe go for one of the grants that are available through SACRE, because I think Clifton is a shining example of collective worship done well in a multi-faith, multicultural setting. And B, I think they've just got lots of energy and drive to do and practical means to involve children and the community in it. It's absolutely brilliant, and particularly through the pandemic, I was just thrilled to see the pastoral care available for parents, as well as obviously the children the main priority. Just thought, very well done, shining example.
Thank you. That was nice.
Thank you. Leslie, can we speed it up, please? Because we are behind 5 minutes.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
So do we have representatives from Three Bridges Primary School to hear from them just briefly? And then also from, I think, Oliver, you were the SACRE member that visited or virtually visited Three Bridges. So thank you. Over to you.
Hello, I'm Emma. I'm from Three Bridges. Oliver, I have to say, Oliver was really helpful in talking through with us what this process entails and what exactly it was that you were looking for, which was a conversation with him was the best thing in all of it. Similar situation to Laurie, we're just down the road from Clifton, and well, we have reflection embedded throughout the curriculum. We also have the one timetable daily active reflection every day. Yeah, I know you're trying to wrap it up, so
yeah. Does anyone have any questions or comments, and then we can hear from Oliver?
No, all seems to be okay.
Good, thank you, Naive. Oliver, do you want to?
Okay, just very quickly, my experience was that the school and staff very committed to cohesion amongst the children, very sensitive to the usual diversity amongst students in the area, and very keen and worked very hard at making sure that no children felt left out by any of the activities, including activities in terms of collective worship and reflection. Also worked very hard to keep parents on side. It's obviously a bit of a tug of war sometimes, I suspect, between what the parents imagine is happening and what actually is happening. So I think they've done extremely well. Their collective worship is very reflection based, but within the bounds of what the Ealing SACRE approach. Yeah, I think it was very impressive. They supplied a video for me to actually see what was going on in some of their reflection exercises, and the extraordinary commitment of the children was most impressive. They really got with it and were very imaginative in their responses. So yeah, I was very happy with what I saw. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's wonderful. So no pressure on Stanhope. We've heard very positive accounts from the first two schools, very similar things being said about inclusivity, time for reflection. And it's lovely to hear, Emma, that you found the interaction with Oliver as a representative of the SACRE, as I know the other school did with Liz, to be really supportive. That's what this process is really all about. It's advising and supporting schools with an area that you know, that they often struggle because there's very little training in it. So SACRE is trying to plug that gap and help out. So we've got Stanhope now, and Marianne, I think, visited Stanhope again virtually, I'm assuming, rather than actually. So Stanhope, lovely to see you actually in your school there very visibly. So over to you.
Hello, I hope you don't mind. We've sort of written a 2-minute summary of our visit and our application to share, to remind people of the process that we had with Marianne. It was a very lovely process online. We found it very informative, and I hope Marianne did too. I'm sure she'll share her opinion. So Stanhope Primary School is an extremely diverse and inclusive school, and the diversity of the school is celebrated through phase assemblies, class assemblies, curriculum days, which we have 2 to 3 a half term, and our newly implemented RE curriculum, which is linked to the core values of our school.
And our core values are kindness, confidence, respect, honesty, and empathy. And each term, our assemblies focus on one in greater detail. So our core values essentially are embedded throughout the daily life of the school. So in our lessons, outdoor play, interactions with others, our behavior policy. So our pupils are very confident in sharing and displaying these. Our week begins with our Monday assembly that focuses on festivals and or international or national events that are relevant to the pupils that are happening that week. Our assemblies begin with a piece of music. This can be calm and peaceful, or a modern song that is relevant to the theme or the assembly. This academic year, our Friday celebrations have been virtual and regularly attended by our parents, which has been fantastic for engagement. Our celebration assemblies acknowledge the past week and celebrate the achievements of all pupils, including those who have demonstrated the core values. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the children also have opportunities for reflection, whether that's through our Votes for Schools, Pupil Parliament, or our meditation sessions on Thursdays. And with nearly 40% of our pupil cohort being Muslim, their religion is recognized and celebrated through our assemblies, our RE curriculum, and special religious occasions. However, this does not take away from the other 60%, which includes a mixture of peoples who are Christian, Hindu, Sikh, and those peoples who are not, who are non-religious. And those are also recognized through our curriculum, our celebrations of our special days, and our collective reflections as well.
Thank you. Sounds like you've also been really creative in making this work during lockdown, and it's good to hear that parents were involved in a really positive way. Marianne, what would you like to say about the experience?
I did enjoy the visit. I visited Stanhope in 2016 for the previous renewal, so I was very pleased to have another opportunity. And as you can see from hearing the presentation, the whole system seems to me to be very well organised, with a very knowledgeable, with a very enthusiastic staff. There's one thing which I enjoyed hearing about immensely, which you didn't mention, Shaloma and Hannah, which was the use of the Nearpod online platform, which extended the use of the reflection, which was happening every day, but it allowed particularly older pupils, I think, to make some written response to what had been reflected upon. And then some of those were shared in the school newsletter, which was a very novel way of extending the whole system. So I enjoyed hearing about that immensely. And really, I would strongly recommend a renewal of the determination. I was very impressed once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have any more comments or questions from SACRE members before we allow our teacher guests to leave, and then we can move to the vote?
I just want to say, Ms. Leslie, it's positive to hear the comments from the SACRE members who have visited the school, and it's fantastic to hear that the schools are making an extremely amazing effort in order to carry out the work. So credit to them, and we look forward working with them.
Thank you. Thank you. So
I have a very quick question. If it's possible, I noticed that on Thursdays you have this smiling mind mindfulness. Do we have time for a minute just to ask what that's about?
Is that directed for Stanhope?
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Shaloma will tell you about that.
So on our Thursday, for part of our assemblies and our reflections, we give the children opportunities to practice mindfulness. So it's all about their thinking, their breathing, understanding their place in the world and their part in society around them. So there could be a session about how children can practice their mindfulness around their emotions or having appreciation for nature. So we use the Thursday sessions to also link with our theme for that term. But for some children, we've found that it really helps them to have enough time, about 5 to 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, just to be peaceful and to sit and reflect on the week. So they can use that time to reflect on the week, or they can use that time to just practice their mindfulness.
That's great. Thank you.
So I'm conscious of our chair's reminder that we need to be strict about timing. So is this the point, Chair, where we allow our school visitors to leave and then we can move to the vote?
I think that is the practice, Leslie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I think if they can leave and you can proceed the voting. Yeah.
So I'm sure we'd all want to thank those representatives from schools who've given up their time this evening to join us and who've made such huge efforts to really develop this area, which, as I say, is particularly challenging for many schools. And you've been able to share with us lots of elements of good practice. It would be really helpful if we could distill some of those as a result of this meeting and share them more broadly through a schools bulletin with other schools in Ealing, so that all the good things you're doing are not just contained here in this forum, but get a wider audience, and the other schools can learn from what you're doing. So I'm sure there's some practical way in which we can manage that. So if our visitors then would like to leave with the chair's permission, then we can move to the vote. So thank you. You'll be contacted soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Can I just ask, Leslie or Chair, I'm not sure, I'm a member, so do I leave and come back? Or do I
think that's probably appropriate. Yeah, otherwise there's a conflict of interest, isn't there, Laura?
Okay, yeah. Fine. Do I need to let anyone, do I still have to vote for the other two schools though?
Oh, well, I don't think there's going to be any problem.
Okay,
so
fine.
You when it's your school, you've declared your interest now, so we know that you won't vote. And as I say, it's one vote per group.
Yeah.
So if all members are satisfied that the applications are in order, because governors have been consulted and there's clear evidence of that, parents have been consulted, there's clear evidence of that, and that the numbers suggest that a determination is warranted, and you've got a flavour of what's going on, then we could move to the vote. Councillor?
So should I go and come back, just to confirm?
I think you can stay, but just not vote when it's your school.
Fine. Okay, that's fine.
I don't think that's really a problem.
All right, thanks.
Councillor Raza.
Leslie, I'm a governor at Stanhope, so am I still allowed to vote or not?
Again, probably not for Stanhope, but certainly for the other schools. So as I say, it's difficult to manage this online, but it's one vote per group. So if we take it with Group A, first of all, so if you are representing a religion or belief system that is not the Church of England, can we go through the 3 schools? Is anyone going to abstain or vote against Clifton Primary, or is everyone on Group A in favour for Clifton Primary to be granted a determination? You can use the hands up reaction button, or if you've got any objection, I suggest you speak now, or as they say, forever hold your peace. So if I say that Group A is in favour of Clifton Primary School, does anyone dissent from that in Group A? No. Group A again, 3 Bridges Primary. Does anyone dissent?
No.
No. Fine, thank you. And Group A for Stanhope, unless, of course, you are at the school. Everyone in favour. So for formal minute-taking purposes, I think we can say that Group A is voting in favour of all 3 schools being granted determinations. Group B, the Church of England. Are you content with Clifton Primary being granted a determination? Any dissent? 3 Bridges. Everyone in favour? And Stanhope. So just to reiterate, everyone on Group B for the Church of England is in favour of all 3 schools being granted a determination for a further 5 years. Group C, teacher representatives. Are you in favour of Clifton Primary as a group being granted a renewal? Anyone dissenting from that? 3 Bridges, are you voting in favour or dissenting? And Stanhope. So again, can I say for the purposes of the minutes that everyone in Group C, so the Group C vote as a whole, is in favour of all 3 schools being granted a renewal? Thank you. And then Group D, the council group. Are you in favour of Clifton Primary being granted a renewal of its determination? No dissent.
No.
3 Bridges.
Agreed.
And Stanhope.
Agreed.
So again, unanimous, every member of the group, so the group's single vote for each of those schools is in favour. So in other words, I think I'm right in saying, please correct me if you wish to differ, every single member of SACRE voted in favour of every determination being renewed. So I think it would be really good to be able to tell the schools that that was above and beyond, you know, the legal requirement for each group to vote in favour, because every member of every group voted in favour. So that's a ringing endorsement, I think, of the work that those schools are doing in this very complex area. And as I said, if we can share some of the elements of good practice from those schools, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stefan.
As I'm new to this, could you explain what would happen if there was a minority? Is it a majority vote from each group?
Yeah, each group has 1 vote, and I think I'm right in saying that every group has to vote in favour.
So if one, sorry to interrupt.
It's a majority vote, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a majority vote per group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think because Ealing SACRE has a very careful and supportive process around this, we would hope, I mean, it's not guaranteed, but we would hope that any school reaching the point of submitting to the SACRE would have been advised appropriately beforehand, and the documents that the SACRE has produced are there to help people in that respect. So yeah, we would hope that no one would come and then find that their application has failed. I mean, they are always considered very carefully, but we do a lot of preparation work to ensure that the applications are as strong as possible before they're presented.
Thank you, that's good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Now I would like to ask for the recommendation on page 15 in the report. So are the members agree these applications of 3 schools? Are we all agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. It needs to be noted. Number 7 of the agenda item is collective worship guidance.
Yes, that's me.
Now it's the Angela Doherty today.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I'm
Angela.
just share a document on the screen if I can.
Right.
To do that.
Uh-huh.
Is everybody able to see that?
It is quite clear.
Examination renewal schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So really, this one is just a quick update on the renewals that we have coming up. So you'll see the 3 that we have just covered just now have taken place. So for the coming academic year, because we do part of the point Leslie was just making about support is that we do give plenty of notice to the schools to remind them that their renewals are coming up. So we have 3 determinations that are coming up for the following year. Havelock Primary, which will be in the autumn term, so there's actually less coming up next year, and 2 for the spring term, Woolfields and Durdens Park. And in fact, Durdens Park was due for renewal this year, but asked for a deferral, and we did allow that due to COVID if schools have particular circumstances. So that will happen from next time. And then one of the other things just to point out, so the ones that we did last time, for example, we've got them here in the schedule. So we do remind the schools regularly and in plenty of notice for them to get ready. And one of the things that I did recently was to remind Dormers Wells group of schools, because they've moved to an academy. They now get their determination via the DFE, but just to remind them, because I don't think the DFE send out reminders or keep as much of a notice on it as we do. So that was this is just really for information. Just on the point of the other point, we have had the online meetings during COVID. Previously, the SACRE members would go to the school to watch an assembly or to speak to the people who prepared the application. And I suppose one of the questions for members going forward is whether they would want to continue with that method of having an online meeting with the school, or whether they would want to go back into the school, or whether it would be a possible mixture of both. So that's just a question really to take forward.
May I make one other brief point, which is of the 3 schools where the determinations have just been renewed, if they have been deferred because of COVID, which was something we checked out very carefully as being entirely appropriate with the Department for Education, their determination will not last 5 years from tonight. It will last 5 years from when it should have been renewed. So I think that's the case with at least 2 of the schools from tonight, Angela.
Yeah, so that's all included in the letter. So following this evening, I will email the school straight away, and then they'll have a letter to to let them know that, and it will have the new date of renewal on it.
Yeah, so they won't all be renewing, as I said a little while ago, in 2026, because they're already over the point where they should have renewed. So if they've already had, say, a year's grace, this current determination will last just for 4 years. Yeah.
So I suppose the question going forward, first of all, is that we only have a small number of members who do the visits to schools, and it would be good to get some more members to do that. So if we have anybody else who would like to volunteer to do that. And the second one is really around whether to continue with the online meetings or visit the schools, and maybe the members who did the visits might be in a good position to say that, because they've done both types of meetings.
Chair, can I just ask you to take the Marion Eisen point of view? And Marion, I would like to ask you, was that the last meeting you did with the school? Was that online or you went there personally?
I did it online. I've done 2 online determination renewals. And although we have very good conversations and we can watch videos of the collective worship and the reflection and so on, I think there is no substitute for actually being in the school, for watching in person, for talking, for looking at, for example, displays on the wall, even sometimes being able to interact with the children. I feel very strongly that we need actually to have a presence in the schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam. Angela, on page 137, there are 2 recommendations. A, SACRE members note the updated determination renewal schedule.
Yeah, yes.
Do you know the schedule? I'm asking members.
Yeah, it's just really a point of information, the schedule. It's not,
yeah.
It's not, there's not a point of agreement. I don't know if there were a couple of questions people had around the school visits.
Yeah. So do you agree with the to keep the changes?
Yes, Chair, we are agreeing.
The SACRE members say recommendation B on page 137.
I think what we're saying here is about, are we saying in terms of the visits to the schools that we would prefer them to be back in person if possible? That's Marion's point.
Well, yeah.
Chair, can I come with your permission, Chair?
Yes, yes, Councillor.
Right. Okay. So, Angela, what you are asking, that if it is allowed to go to inside the school, I think like Marion shows her intention, there is no equivalent to go there personally and visit the school. So okay. I think if there is a possibility, I think we are agreed on that, Chair.
Yeah, agreed.
Point from Laurie and
yeah.
As well.
Thanks, councillors. John Ball, do you got a question? Councillor Ball?
So yeah, I was just, thank you, Chair. I was just going to agree with Marianne and Tariq that if the schools are happy for us to go in person, that's better. So obviously it's up to the schools to allow one of us to go in, but I think that's a better way where possible.
Okay, thank you. Laurie Greenglass?
Yeah, I was just as one of the schools, and like when we had the online meeting with Liz, like it was brilliant. We had such a great conversation, but it just would have been even better if Liz could have come into the school. And we both kind of like agreed through the conversation that like it would have strengthened the renewal even more. And it just would have been nice for her to, she knew about like our ethos and values and kind of the way we are at school, just from us telling her and her seeing the website and the videos of the children and things like that. But her being there in person would have just, you know, made it. So even like on my side, you know, from us, me being in the schools, I think it's great for everyone to come back into schools as soon as they can.
Right.
Okay, and just a final point on this item. I know Oliver had a very in-depth conversation with his school when he when he went for the visit, and we produced some very detailed collective worship guidance over this year. It's one of the things that we reviewed, but I think that possibly is a need to simplify some of the guidance and make the document shorter and some of the requirements just a little bit clearer. And I think that might, some of the members in the past have queried about why more schools don't apply for determinations. And I think if the process was a little bit clearer, and the sharing of practice that Leslie has kind of promoted as well, we give people more examples of how this could be presented and embedded within the school, that may well be helpful to schools. So I think that's one of the things we'll do in our kind of plan of work for next year, is just to look at a very short guide in terms of collective worship and reflection to help schools as well.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you.
I think Oliver wants to ask a question.
I can't see any hand raised. Okay, Oliver.
His real hand as opposed to his
real hand. Never real.
I didn't see that. Yeah, sorry. I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yes, Oliver. Hand or a Mickey Mouse hand. I don't mind. Just 2 points to add to what Angela's just been saying. I think throughout the number of visits that I've done, and I know Marion feels the same, that there is still some confusion out there as to exactly what schools are supposed to be reporting on. And there's also confusion about exactly what collective worship is, which is not surprising, but nonetheless, I was struck by the head teacher's comment from Three Bridges that more effort, I think he was exaggerating a bit, but more effort's gone into a collective worship or the determination application that went into their inspection from Ofsted. Now, I think that's a slight exaggeration, but nonetheless, I don't think we are making it very clear exactly what is required. And I suspect part of that is down to timing. By the time they get to read our guidance document, the horse has already bolted. I think we need to be clarifying when we send them a letter to tell them that they need to be thinking about doing this. And to be frank, Madam Chair, if there was less confusion and less time spent telling us about things that we don't need to know about, such as assemblies, and more time focusing on the thing we do want to know about, which is collective worship, the whole process would be a lot quicker.
Thank you, Oliver. Angela, any comments?
Yeah, I think we'll follow this up. There was a little group looking at this last time, and I think we can definitely follow up on that and produce some more information and do some consultation with the school members. And we've got quite a few members on the committee now who are teachers who work in school, even if they're not representing the school group. So I think we can do some good consultation and with some other schools as well to get some feedback on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? No.
There's a few chat points.
Yeah, I can't see any. Yeah. So we finished with the number 7, the agenda item. Number 8, agreed syllabus. Could I now invite Mirala Tamo to update on implementation of the agreed syllabus? Is Mirala around?
Chair, it's Keith Broomfield here. I'm supporting this meeting. I'm afraid she's having problems connecting.
Right.
So she's still, she's rebooting her laptop and maybe in shortly, but I don't know.
Right, right.
We could ask for the quick update from Emma, if she's happy to do it, Emma Lauder, on the grading, on the secondary process, and then wait. And if Mirella can't get back in, I can run through her presentation, because it won't be as good as if Mirella does it, but I know what she's been doing.
Right. Is Emma around?
Yeah, hi.
Emma Lauder is here. Yeah.
Yeah, hiya.
Hello, Emma.
Not many updates since last time. I think schools are still in the process of kind of finalising their schemes of work. What I'm trying to encourage more is sharing the resources, because I think a lot of people are working on it independently, but we can do a bit more as a group, hopefully, to share the resources. It's been quite a busy time for secondary schools because we've been doing all the grading for GCSE and A-level. So I think now that's coming to an end. Hopefully people have time to finalise everything, get it to where it needs to be for September.
Do you want to explain a little bit about the process, Emma? Because I think members may not be aware of all the work you've had to do to come to your GCSE and A-level RS grades this year.
Yeah, sure. So for year 11 and year 13, obviously because exams haven't been running, what we've had to do is put forward grades. The difference from last year is with last year we had to kind of make a projection based on a projection and a prediction as to what we thought the students might achieve had exams gone ahead. The difference being this year, they need to have shown evidence that they've achieved those grades. So schools have done that in very different ways. Some have been doing lots of mini assessments, some have been doing big exams in a hall. So it kind of depends on the school. There's been quite a lot of different guidance put forward. I think one of the challenges in RE is they released quite vague grade descriptors and just said that this is what an A looks like, or this is what a grade 9 looks like. And there's been the challenge of working out the correct grade boundaries and things like that. So it's taken quite a lot of time. But speaking to members of the network, I think all schools now are pretty much in a good place to put the grades forward. We also did some cross moderation between the schools as well to make sure that we are all roughly on the same page as to what particular grades look like, and to make sure that the right students were getting the right grades.
Right, thank you. Angela, do you want to add anything? You said you can do the presentation.
Morella's back, I think.
Is it?
Yep, are you back, Morella? Yep, I think she is.
All right. Yeah.
She's listed down the side.
Are you ready, Morella?
She's not there.
Let's give it a few minutes, yeah.
Shall I put the presentation up and then we'll see if she can get here?
I think that will be helpful.
Can everybody see that?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah,
Okay.
very clearly.
So
Yeah.
if Morella joins, then she can take over. Okay, so this is just a brief presentation about the implementation of the syllabus. So one of the things that we have offered to schools in sort of partnership with an organisation called RE Today was for them to, they have some ready-made lesson plans to go with RE schemes of work. And so many schools have bought that, and then we're working with the organisation to so it's just it's helpful to get some extra resources for the teachers. So we've got a very detailed scheme, but they do have lots of very good teaching resources. This is really looking at the areas. We've got different ideas for lessons. What they did was matched up the majority of units, and then where there were 8 units that were not in the syllabus, they wrote some additional materials for us. And then we've been looking at providing training and support there. So Morella did, as always, a sterling job in kind of matching up for the schools, because although it's been quite a useful set of resources, there were certain things that didn't match up directly. And so we've been working with RE Today, and Morella's done a kind of mapping job to make sure that, you know, people know where to get the resources, because some of them were in a slightly different year group or something like that. So this is an example here. So we have in our syllabus, we've got year 1, what does it mean to be a member of the Jewish community? And this is some of the ideas and resources that are presented within the schemes of work from RE Today. So Morella's been working with the teachers in the network to look at those resources. So this is really for people who were here last year when we commissioned the syllabus. we have a set of units. All of the religions, the major religions and humanism are covered in each key stage now, which was a development on with the series, with this syllabus. And we have a set of learning objectives and learning outcomes for each of our units. And then there are some thematic units, and one of the options is for people to use either one of the old units from the previous syllabus or from another syllabus if they wanted to broaden out, if they felt that was more appropriate or interesting for their particular school setting. Morella has been running a set of networks for online training for the RE teachers, primary school teachers within Ealing. So Emma, who's just spoken to us, meets with the secondary school RS leads. Morella has run this for the primary schools. And as you can see there, 44, and that 7th of May was on a Friday afternoon, and there were 44 people there logged on to the session, and it was I think a 2-hour session. And the 27th of May was another 2-hour session in the afternoon, very well attended by members from schools.
It seems strange that you...
Sorry,
who's speaking?
I think it's probably somebody else. And then a network meeting is taking place this week, which will again be looking at the syllabus. And out of all of the comments that people have made, a professional development plan will be put in place. So that will be based on the needs of the teachers. Really, they'll identify the things that they need, and also to try and share good practice. So these were just some of the comments that have come back from after the training, and there was just a very positive response. Yeah, so that's just a quick summary. I don't know if Morella's got back in again, because if she has, she can probably add some comments.
Yeah.
Hello, Chair.
Hello.
My name's Keith Broomfield. I was trying to get Morella back in, but her computer's now frozen, so I'm afraid it's not looking very good. So I think she's going to log off.
Right, okay. It doesn't look like. Yeah, thank you very much, Keith. Yeah,
sorry about that.
That's okay. So sorry, Angela?
Just if anybody has any questions or anything that they would like to ask.
Yeah. Or any comments even. Yeah. Yes. Councillor.
Yeah, Chair, thank you, Chair. The two things I wanted to mention there. One is, shall I get this opportunity to say a large thank you for Angela, Leslie, Mirula, and Emma. The review syllabus will not be possible to complete it without their great help. So I'm very thankful to that. What the great work they have done it. The second thing is, Emma, the question to you is, so what is the initial feeling in terms of secondary school? So what's their initial thought or feedback about that?
Councillor, I think that is the next item we are going to ask Emma. Yeah, I think you can raise that question a little bit later on.
No, we did that. We reversed it round because of Morella. So
Morella has said that, right? That's fine. Yeah. Okay, carry on, Councillor.
I have asked Emma, what's the initial thought about that agreed syllabus in terms of secondary schools?
It's been good. I think I fed back on it last time. We haven't really spoken about it much more since then, but in the last meeting, I think the key points were they thought the Buddhism part was really interesting. I think one of the difficulties this year, like I mentioned, was just the management of time between things like lockdown and sorting out the grades and things like that. But the feedback's generally been quite positive, particularly on the Buddhism unit.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other questions or comments from the participants? No.
Councillor Ball, I think, has got a question.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I can see his hand. Yes, Councillor Ball.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to say how impressed I was at the level of engagement that Morella managed to get, and the very positive feedback, from the professional development work that she was doing, and I'm sure what Emma's doing with the secondary schools is just as good. But yeah, I think we ought to put on record how pleased we are with because it really is the kind of missing link that puts the our syllabus into practice. Working with the leads at the schools in that way to actually get it implemented. Thank you.
No, I would definitely say that's the case, and it makes a huge difference for people if they feel that they can ask any questions. And there's a huge variety of experience of people who are leading on RE. So some of them are quite senior, but in a primary school, sometimes they're quite an inexperienced teacher, and it's quite a big responsibility. So I think all of the support that's been in place, that people have really welcomed it actually, and it's, I think, and it has brought the syllabus to life as well, which is great, because it can be a bit overwhelming when you see it because it's so detailed. But no, it's been very positive.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you. Yeah. Is there any other questions, or shall we move on? Can't see any. Right. Do we agree to note the progress, the recommendation on item 8?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you. Now, item 9, a review of the Ealing SACRE Constitution.
Yeah.
And let's you again, I'm afraid.
Me
and
again,
Leslie Pratt.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I think it's me forever from now, actually. Right. Okay. So the SACRE Constitution, we started looking at it at the beginning of the year, and really the main point of looking at it was to make it clearer about the memberships and responsibility. It was unclear how members who were not councillors were being appointed by the council, which they're meant to be. And thank you to Councillor Ball, who pointed out it was the council, not cabinet, which is true. So we finally have got a system, and we've reviewed. So it's just a lot clearer about who's doing what, and I think we've got all this, and I've begun to understand the difference that the council members, local authority members, can also be changed every year by the council. So we can't really have a term of office for councillors, but we do for the others. So if I just run through what we've done, and then you can it's just a bit updated from what we looked at last time. So we put a new introduction in it just to explain the background. We added the word collective worship onto the responsibilities, because that's the legal term, although we tend to refer to it as reflection. We also added in a little bit to say that it's one of the responsibilities of SACRE to ask the council to set up an agreed syllabus conference to renew the syllabus, which we were doing, but it wasn't in the constitution, and that's one of our responsibilities. And we updated who the annual report had to go to on Leslie's advice. So we added in our kinds of membership. Most members, all of the members we have with us today are all appointed, but you can co-opt people if you want for extras for specific reasons. And one of the points that we've got a SACRE code of conduct, but we also needed to add in that because people were being appointed by the council, in the end Ealing Council, but then people would have to uphold the Ealing code of conduct for council members as well, which is just the basic principles of public life, that if you're involved in any kind of work in the name of the council. The option for having a deputy was added in there. There is a section on co-opted members if we ever need any. The terms of office, so we were going to make this into it was linked to the election, and it seemed quite complicated, but actually when we came to look at it, that was best to leave it like that. so the groups A to C, the term of office between the period of the election. So everybody's term of office. Now, many members stay for several terms of office, so it doesn't really make a lot of difference. But just so that if people did want to do one term and leave, it would be between those times. So so the members now being appointed until the next election, which is next year, is delayed a year because of COVID. So members are appointed at the Ealing Council meeting. So I've now got a process in place to inform Democratic Services of that, and they'll get the list. And if we get new members joining at different times, I just add it onto the list for the next meeting. And then Group D, the authority members are appointed every year. So some people stay on the SACRE for a number of years, but people can be moved by the council. So it just makes it clear. It wasn't clear before about that. The end of the membership, there's a list in the new constitution, and we've simplified the approach about non-attendance because we've actually, with the online meetings, we've got brilliant attendance now actually, but this is really saying that if you don't come to 3 meetings and you don't have a valid reason, and there's all sorts of things that could be valid, but we do have some members who just haven't attended for ages, and we can just write to them and say, we're assuming it's only 3 meetings a year, so if they haven't been to 3, they haven't been for a year, so it's quite a long time. So that it just makes it clearer how to follow up on that. The vacancies, one of the good things that we've done this year is produce the little information sheet and application form. And I think we might have 5 or 6 new people here today who've come in through the process of being sent that information and then providing us with some information back. So again, we've got a bit of a record, and particularly for Group A, where people are from lots of different organisations, it gives us some background information on the organisation they're representing. So so that's the vacancies and the following up on that. And really, that's one of the things I've taken on, is to follow up on vacancies. And we've really, and we'll come to that in the next membership item actually, but we've really done quite a good job. And Mark Newton, particularly in the Church of England group, has done a brilliant job in bringing us 3 new people. And then the chair and the vice chair. So we've added the chair as a member of Group D and appointed by the authority. So that is specific to Ealing SACRE. So not all SACREs have a councillor as the member, but that is how it operates here. And we've added in the vice chair is elected in the first meeting after the appointment of the chair. Well, we actually have a vacancy for the vice chair because Liz Day is our current vice chair. So, and she's done a very good job of that and has been in that position for a while. So I think at the next meeting, that's one of the things that we'll have to do, is to appoint or elect a vice chair at the next meeting. We just put more information in the constitution about the roles of the clerk, the LA advisor. So the LA advisor in this case is kind of split between Leslie, who's the expert on all matters religious and collective worship, and I'm the sort of organizer in the background. So we do that together, whereas in the past it was one person who did both of those roles. And then we also have some other admin support through the Ealing Learning Partnership, who do the letters about the determinations and things like that. So we've made it a bit clearer. And obviously we have Morella also in that, kind of doing the syllabus bit. All the stuff on the voting and that was all okay. We got rid of the thing about submitting minutes to the cabinet because we didn't do it, and the minutes are a public document anyway, so it didn't seem any point in doing that. And then just to add in the teachers associations, we had a very useful meeting with the union leaders, and that's how Stefan came to join us as well. And we've added in the union that was missing, which was ASCRE, and we've added in the Ealing Learning Partnership as an association representing teachers, because many school members, head teachers and teachers are members of that now. So that was clarified, and then we just added in the collective worship into the vision and values and the code of conduct, again, just to make it more consistent with the legal terminology. So really those are the changes, and if anybody has any questions, and then we'll need to approve this, and then it will need to be approved through the council.
Chair, that's a good clarification, and this is a good point for clarification. We are all happy with this.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Thank you very much. Any questions, participants? No. Right. So, Angela, do we need to ask these groups if they agree with these changes?
Yeah, Leslie,
Yeah.
I think we do, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes, I think so.
Sorry?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because the recommendations are required, yes.
Yeah.
So shall I do it, Leslie or Angela? Can we now come to the decision? I will ask first of all the Church of England group. Do you agree to these changes? Are they here?
Yeah.
Leslie, can you, or Angela, can you hear anything?
Yeah, they've got their thumbs up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think anyone wishes to dissent from the Church of England group.
Yeah, they've all.
I don't see. Where did you see these?
I don't know. It's on the screen, and it's also if you have the list of participants showing.
Yeah.
The little thumbs up or the hands up is next to their name.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
It's not showing on yours. No. Okay. Well, I'll.
Right. Anyway, but you are getting the information. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. So now I would like to ask teachers group. Do you agree with these changes? Stephen says yes.
Yeah, they're all. Yes, they're all there. Yeah.
And finally, other religions group. Do you agree?
Yeah, got lots of hands up there.
Right.
The council group, I think the council group will probably not be allowed to vote on this, because is there not a potential conflict of interests, Angela, where...
No, we are not. That's why I was
sure.
I was a bit certain about these. That's why I'm going by group wise. Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. I didn't ask my council colleagues to vote for this. No. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. Right, where are we now? Right, we done recommendations. And we are now, sorry, is Leslie, you want to ask anything? No.
No.
Right, item number 10, membership update.
Yeah, that's me. That's me again.
Angela.
Yeah.
For you.
Find it. Okay, here we are.
Yeah.
So actually we've had changes since this happened. This is our latest list of members. If I can just explain. So I've tried to get in touch with the African Caribbean Church, and I sort of did a bit of sleuthing around about the last member, and have got a contact, but I have had no reply from there. So we'll see what happens with that one. Actually, we had a very late joiner today, Mrs. Sharma, who I think might not have got mentioned at the beginning, but Apara Sharma, who has joined us as a Hindu member, which is brilliant. That's a very new member, so that's come through. I think I think Councillor Mahmood has got a representation for the Sunni Islam vacancy. So that's, I think, Councillor, you've got somebody for that, haven't you?
That's right. Yeah, I would pass your link to him, and he would be in touch with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've welcomed Mrs. Cholia today, who is from Ramgarhia Sabha, Sikh Gurdwara. So that's another, and Mrs. Cholia was referred by the Gurdwara and using our information sheet and application. So that was really, really helpful. And then we've had, as I said, Mark Newton did a fabulous job in recruiting Oriel, Susie and Sue, who are our new Church of England members. So we're almost fully complemented there. And we've got one more person to come. And then we've welcomed Stefan as a new member for the Teachers Associations, and we're awaiting a recommendation from the NEHT, actually, or ASCOR, but I think it's going to be the NEHT to join the Teachers Associations. So that's where we are on the membership. And then we've got our new, so some council members have remained the same, and we've got our new members. So at the bottom, these are our members numbers, and then so our Hindu member is filled now, and the Ramgarhia Sabha is filled, so the others are still vacant. And we add in Marion McNeil is leaving. I've taken Liz off here, but Marion, who's representing the Free Church Federal Council up here, and we've been in touch already, so they should be coming through with a new member for us there as well.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Angela. Any comments or questions to Angela? And Marianne? Yes, please.
Angela, I think there is an error on line 15.
Oh.
Because you've got 2 Jewish members and a liberal Jewish member, but I think it should only be 1 Jewish member and 1 liberal Jewish member.
Oh, I think what it is, yeah, I think Marion, it should, what it should be is that should be a side heading. I think it's like we've got Humanist 2, yeah. and it's got Oliver and Kath. Yeah, I think it's the way that it's written. So right. I think it's 2 Jewish members. That's 1 Jewish member and 1 liberal Jewish member. Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think it's the way that it's like it should be written in the way that the Islam one is written. So it's 4. You've got 2 Sunni, a Discover Islam, and a Shia. So that would present it better. Yeah, I'll change that, Marion.
Angela, can I say something here?
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere in the papers, I think one is Orthodox Jewish, the other is liberal Jewish. Aren't they 2 different groups?
Marion's probably better.
Yes, Marion.
Yes, Megan is representing the liberal Jewish community and I'm representing the Orthodox Jewish community.
All right, okay. So should be 2 members or 1?
It's 2. It's 2.
Me and Megan.
No. Yeah, it's 2. So it's I mean, Marion, should it be written as Orthodox Jewish on it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
I've read somewhere in the papers. I've read somewhere.
Doesn't matter.
Sure. Can I just interrupt? So I think that we have been carrying on with the 2 representative of Jewish community, and one is the Jewish and one is the liberal Jewish. So I think Marion represents Jewish and the Megan representative liberal Jewish.
Yeah, for years I represented everybody.
True.
So it's just a historical change. That's all. That's fine. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So there are no more comments or questions on this. So do we now, I'm going back to recommendations, Leslie, not Leslie, sorry, Angela. I'm asking participants, do you note this report? Do you agree with this report? I think a report noted. Stephen Sims. Yes, question? Please go ahead, Stephen.
No, Chair, I was just agreeing that I was noting.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Agreed.
Okay.
Report noted. Now, item number 11, national update and local updates. Leslie to lead and Bidila.
I believe Bidila has had
Leslie
to
and
the meeting. I saw that she had put in the chat that she had got another commitment. So the SACRE in Ealing belongs to the National Association of SACREs, which holds an annual day conference, which inevitably this year was online. The theme was authority in RE, and there were two keynote speakers. One, Professor Denise Cush, who spoke about what we mean by authority in the context of religions and worldviews. Who has authority? Where does authority come from? So her focus was very much on how we might teach about authority in religious education. And the second keynote speaker was Ofsted's new religious education Chief Inspector, Dr. Richard Quay, that is Kueh. And if I may, I'll just share my screen and point you to some of the new thinking that's emerging from Ofsted. And I don't think anyone would dispute that Ofsted is not an authority in RE as in many other subjects. My PowerPoints are not as good as Morella's, of course, but here we are. So, as I said, Ofsted has recently appointed Dr. Richard Quay, and he has been posting some short video clips on YouTube, and I've put the links here, where he's been highlighting some of the key factors that can influence the quality of religious education in schools. Teachers and others on the SACRE will know that sometimes RE can be very much the poor relation in the curriculum. We sometimes call it the Cinderella subject because, like Cinderella, it doesn't go to the curriculum ball unless someone comes along and waves a magic wand. My experience in Ealing is very much that the subject is strong, and I think the presentation that we've seen from Morella, introduced by Angela, shows the commitment of Ealing schools to a subject which has always had an important place in this part of London. But it's nevertheless interesting, I think, for Ealing teachers to be made aware of what Ofsted is saying. So Ofsted published a major research paper on RE last month, and I've put the link to it here just in case anyone's looking for some exciting bedtime reading. You can look at the whole document, but I've picked out some of the key points. And again, I think this is material that we should be sharing with schools in the borough. How we do that through a school bulletin, through a briefing coming out of this SACRE meeting, Mirella perhaps highlighting these things in her network meetings for primary and Emma for secondary. I don't know, but I think the information should be shared. So in the review, Ofsted's outlining the national context in relation to RE. And it's very interesting, I think, for individual schools and teachers to compare their own situation with what is going on nationally and to see how closely those two are aligned or not. You know, some of the difficulties that RE experiences in other parts of the country may not be the case in Ealing. The report highlights what might be some of the factors that can affect the quality of education in RE. So subjects often not given sufficient curriculum time, isn't taught by specialists. In primary schools may be delivered in PPA time by teaching assistants rather than qualified teachers. These are some of the national factors. Ofsted is also very focused at the moment on curriculum progression in RE, so how pupils get better at RE as they move through their schooling, the different ways in which RE is taught, and assessment is key. It is often said that assessment is poorer in RE than in any other subject in the curriculum. So what pupils are achieving or not achieving is not being measured. And there are also issues around the impact of the decisions that school leaders make on RE provision. And I think that's particularly pertinent post-pandemic, or as we hope we're almost post-pandemic. You know, are other subjects getting even more attention because of the fear that pupils have fallen behind? And does that mean that RE is even more marginalised than it was? Ofsted's talking about 3 types of knowledge in RE. So I've listed those for you on the screen. So first of all, what children and young people are learning about religion, the factual content. But 2 other important aspects of knowledge in RE, according to Ofsted. So not only should we be thinking about what children and young people know, we should be helping them to be really equipped to have at their disposal appropriate and relevant ways of knowing about religion and worldviews. So are they getting their information from reputable sources, from appropriate authorities, if you like? There's so much information out there, a lot of it freely available, but to make a bad religious pun, you know, is it always kosher? Is it appropriate? Is it relevant? Is it secure? And thirdly, Ofsted is interested in how what children learn affects their own awareness of what they think and believe in relation to the religions and worldviews that they're studying. So those are really important aspects of the messages that are coming out of Ofsted. This again is information which I think it might be very useful for us to share from SACRE with schools. What Ofsted thinks high quality RE might include. So I'm not going to read those out, but you can see what they believe to be important characteristics of strong RE. Previously at this SACRE, we've talked about Ofsted inspections of individual schools. Some of those were carried out, of course, in the last term before the pandemic caused lockdown. So we're talking about autumn 2019 and the first couple of months of 2020. And Ofsted then was doing what were called deep dives into some subjects in schools, including RE. And on the other hand, they were also doing more light touch looks at certain subjects, sometimes known as shallow swims, hence my pictures there. So that's again some information which kind of highlights what Ofsted was looking at in individual school inspections before the pandemic. And I've highlighted the key findings that emerged from an analysis of Ofsted reports on schools during that period. There's just a couple of those slides. So again, I think it might be helpful for that information to be shared with our schools. So that's information then that comes from Ofsted, but via SACRE, because Richard Quay was one of the key speakers at the annual general meeting in May, and he talked to many of these issues. So I hope that's of interest to all SACRE members, I guess particularly to the teachers here. So yeah, if we can just get some of that information out to schools in Ealing more broadly, I think that would be of benefit to them. So I don't know if anyone's got any comments or questions. Thank you, Laurie, for your remarks in the chat. Emma, have you got your hand up?
Yeah, thank you for that, Leslie. I was going to say, in 2 weeks' time, the secondary schools are going to meet and have 3 workshops centred on those Ofsted findings. The first workshop is on the ways of knowing, the second one on assessment, and the third one on the sequencing of curriculum. And we're trying to tie those things together. So all secondary schools in Ealing will be invited to that, or have been invited to that already. Plus anyone who has responsibility for RE within those schools is invited, so not just the head of department, but anyone who has a TLR, so a teaching and learning responsibility in RE.
That's really good to know, isn't it? And I hope it's well attended. And I think, you know, if you look at the syllabus that this body endorsed, you know, last year, a lot of these points are embedded in it already. So I think, you know, schools in Ealing can feel quite secure that the RE here is framed in a way that embodies the good practice that the Ofsted is pointing to through Richard's public pronouncements, through the research report and so on.
Thanks, Leslie. I think Angela.
Yeah,
yes, Angela.
Yeah, just to say also, I think in the papers from the SACRE conference, I think Mrs. Lowell attended, didn't she, on behalf as a member?
I saw her there, yeah.
Yeah, and she's produced a very kind of thorough analysis of what went on, and it's got quite a lot of recommendations. So I think what we will do is have a read through that, and it covers some of the Ofsted stuff as well, and we will kind of use that to inform what we're working on for next year, which is also part of the work plan item, which is coming up as well.
Yeah, I mean, I produce a newsletter for primary schools for any local authority that wants to take it and distribute it. And the next edition, which will be the final one of this academic year, is probably solely going to focus on the points that I've just shared with you. So I don't want to steal Morella's thunder, but you know, if you're happy for that to go out to Ealing schools, then please use it, or just cut and paste from it, you know.
Yeah, no, we do, Leslie. That's very, very helpful, actually, the newsletter. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Thank you. I think that would be quite helpful and useful for our schools. Thank you very much, Angela and Leslie. Thank you. Right. The recommendation on this report, is the report noted?
I think it's just to be noted, isn't it?
To be noted, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the last, number 12, the agenda item is a SACRE work plan.
Yeah, this is.
I think it's Angela, if we can.
Yeah. So this is really, find it.
Yeah.
And here we are. Okay, so what we did at the beginning of the year to try and be organised with SACRE was to look at all our responsibilities, which are included in the legal requirements for SACRE and the things that we were working on, and then to look how we would cover them across our meetings. So we've kind of rag rated this to show what we've covered and during the time. So we looked at the reflection guidance. Leslie led on that with a small group. Oliver, Marianne and Liz, I think, looked at that and completely reviewed that guidance. And So that's all been done, although we've said today maybe we need a little sort of mini version of that to, you know, a kind of one pager, so that people get the idea of it to then go into the more detailed guidance. So we'll probably add that on for next year in that slot. Determination applications, I think it's been amazing actually that we've had really good applications from schools despite the pandemic, 3 this time and 2 last time. So we've covered all of those. One of the areas that we didn't, we have something called the Ealing Grid for Learning, which is our website for schools, and it's got lots of documents on it, which have been, some of them have been there quite a long time. And we started to kind of have a look at that, but it was such a big job, we haven't kind of really got through it all. So I think that's something to, what I've asked for is a kind of map of all of the documents, and we'll start to break it down into things that, and this may be where people from some of the different groups might want to have a look at those documents and see if they have any updates or changes to them. The syllabus updating on that, I think we have covered that really well actually, and what we will probably do from next year is to do some kind of light touch monitoring, just to get some feedback from schools about what they're doing, how they've got on with the syllabus, because obviously again the pandemic really made it quite difficult for people to start and launch something in the way that they might have done in a normal school time. Our annual report, we completed that, and that has been sent off, and it's now on the SACRE website and on the EGFL and at the DFE. So we're all kind of up to date with our annual reports. And
Yeah.
we'll start.
Can I just add there, Angela, that one of the things that we covered at the SACRE AGM is that a template, a shared template, is going to be on offer for SACRE annual reports. So that will apply when the report of this academic year is written next term. And the reason why it's felt that having a shared template is a good idea is so that there can be an analysis of annual reports from across the country, from different SACREs, can be carried out. So then we can see where there's good practice and disseminate that more widely, and where SACREs are struggling for whatever reason, you know, then support can be targeted. So when we look at an annual report in the autumn, it will look slightly different to what we've had previously, and will probably take longer to produce because, you know, can't just use the same format. It's going to be in a slightly different version.
When is that coming out, Leslie?
We've been working on it with the Department for Education, which receives those reports, amongst others. So the reports that will be written for this academic year, which we usually consider at the autumn meeting, will follow the new format, and then an analysis will be carried out, we would hope, in the spring, so that findings can be shared at the next SACRE AGM in May 2022.
Excellent. Okay, so we will once we get that, we'll start to work on that. I've begun collecting information from schools about the entries for RE, GCSE and A levels this year, because although we don't have the exams, as Emma's explained, we have the grading system. So although we don't report on the outcomes, we'll report on the number of entries, because that's quite important. And as Leslie said before, we have a good number of entries for RS rather in Ealing. Constitution, it's been quite a long journey with that constitution, but I think we've now got a new model for that, so that's been done. Update on the membership and vacancies. I think we're in a much better place now in terms of replacing our members as well when they leave. We've got a bit of a system going there, and it's good to welcome so many new members today. And then our national and local updates, and as I said, we'll use the feedback from the Ofsted plus the of the other items from the conference to inform our kind of work plan for next year. So with your permission, I shall make this a nice green document to show that we've achieved quite a lot, I think, during the year. And I'm going to kind of expand this into a bit of a handbook so that we've got something in place so that if anyone takes over a role, it's a bit easier for them to find out what's going on and who does what. So we've sort of split up the jobs there. So we've got our new chair on here and the rest of us. And then the meetings, as far as we know, so our next meeting is in November 2021. So that's a summary of what we've done for the year, which are academic year, as we tend to work on them in schools.
Thanks, Angela. It's a question from Lakshman.
Yes,
Hello,
thanks, Chair.
please raise your question. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a question to Angela. You said that there are some documents to be reviewed on that grid for learning site. Will you be looking at those and coming to the Group A members when you have some doubts, or will you give us a link to go and look ourselves?
I think we'll get the link. I think what it's almost trying to see what's there and then send, if there are specific things around specific religions, I would give you a link to it and say, could you have a look at this and see if it needs updating or something to add or something like that. I mean, that's probably the easiest way of doing it, because it's just a bit of a labyrinth at the moment, and it's trying to make sure that it's just easily accessible. If it's labyrinth for us to find things, then it is for schools as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lakshman. Thank you, Angela. Any more comments or questions? No. Shall we now talk about the recommendations? Turn to recommendations. Do you note the progress of the work plan? Hello, colleagues. Hello.
Yes.
Agree?
Yes, Chair, agreed.
Right. Do you note the priority areas of the work?
That's a well-spotted priority areas.
Yes, we agree, and reports are noted. Thank you very much, Councillor and Councillor Raja. Thank you. So the date of the next meeting is Tuesday, 16th of November. I hope it will be online. I think we will be informed nearer at the time if there are changes, whether we are meeting in persons or it should be online. Am I right, Angela?
I think Katie's probably might know more about that than I do.
Right. Katie.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we'll have to provide an update nearer the time.
Nearer the time, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Different councils are doing different things where their SACREs are concerned. Some are insisting now that they meet face to face. Others are still meeting online on the premise that most people who serve on SACREs are volunteers. They're doing it not part of their job. I have been in touch with the Department for Education. I'm still waiting for a steer from them. It wouldn't be a legally definitive statement, but a steer from them about whether SACREs can continue to meet. Previously, I've been told that the only requirement in law is that SACREs should meet. There is nothing to say that they cannot meet online. The only requirement is that they should be open to any member of the public that wishes to attend. And it's my understanding that because this is being streamed live on YouTube, that is honoured, as a commitment. So
yeah.
Chair, can I suggest it's a long time to go between now and 16th of November. So I think we should wait for the officer recommendation as Kathleen, as Katie mentioned that. So that will be really helpful. It's a long time to go from now till 16th of November, Chair.
We know, Councillor Mahmood, yes, it will be decided nearer the time because there is no clear guidance as yet.
True.
As of today's news, the government may extend the lockdown for another month. We don't know yet, but I hope it won't, but who knows what will happen. So I think Katie will be in touch with us nearer at the time, whether it will be we are meeting in person or we are meeting online. I think who was raising their hand here? The person has gone.
Yeah, I was raising my hand. I just think this question of online or in person, we ought to bear in mind the comment that having been online has increased significantly the attendance. So I think if we regard it as important to have as much representation as possible, then we really ought to be considering staying online. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. So, right. I think a meeting is closed now. The next meeting is on Tuesday, 16th of November. Thank you very much. All of the participants, thanks for coming to this meeting. And I also give my thanks to Angela for her hard work. She has done a lot of hard work, to be honest. Yeah. Thank you very much, Angela. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, all of you. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much.